Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Saturday morning, afternoon now. Happy Saturday afternoon and happy Armed Forces Day. I'm Chad Springer. This is Chad Boudreaux, the greatest tag team partner ever. And this is Hanging with the Chads. We have a very exciting episode for you today. We have a very special guest in Steven Bartlett, a good friend of mine from North Carolina, doing amazing things in his life right now. And Boudreaux, good morning. How are you doing, my friend?
Good afternoon, brother. I'm good. I woke up early, cut the grass. We had our scrimmage last night. Lots of fans, lots of people excited about football at our school, which is hard to do. So yeah, it's been pretty good past couple of days.
We had a late night last night. We had our spring football jamboree against two schools from a county a little bit south of us, four-letter word county. And, it was very exciting for my athletes, very exciting for my coaching staff. And, hopefully the future's bright over there at the corner of Point Siena Boulevard and Pleasant Hill Road. But yeah, we're really excited, and it's an exciting episode today. It's Armed Forces Day. So look, we can't even continue without first shouting out every single Armed Forces personnel out there, whether you're in the Army, whether you're in the Navy, whether you're in the Air Force, whether it's the Space Force. I don't even know what that is yet. Is that like the Department of the Air Force? And even the Coast Guard, shout out the Coast Guard. We got to keep everybody safe. But more importantly, read the shirt Boudreaux has, SFMF, Semper Fi, my friend. The greatest military branch of all time, the world's finest fighting force, celebrating 250 years of kicking ass and taking names on November 10th, the United States Marine Corps. Semper Fi, Boudreaux.
Semper Fi, brother.
Hey, that's how we do it. So, hey, look, it was a busy week in sports, guys, and we're going to start off with some top news right now. Brock Purdy. Cha-ching! My boy got paid from Mr. Irrelevant to one of the highest paid quarterbacks ever. 5 years, $265 million. Boudreaux, I didn't even know what to do with that type of money. But I know Boudreaux, I know that our good boy Brock Purdy ain't living in that apartment no more. I guarantee you. He's going to get him a big house over there in Santa Clara. How you feel about what the Niners did with that?
Yeah, it's the right thing to do. There's nothing on the market, and there's nothing that's going to be on the market anytime soon. They're going to be good enough to be where there won't be a top 2-3 draft pick. So going into next year, there won't be anybody there either. So why not get the longevity? He earned it. He's a top quarterback. So why not go after him, keep him, pay him, make him happy? They just need to put something in that backfield for him. They get that there, and it's going to be lights out for them again.
Hopefully my boy CMC comes back healthy this year. That's my running back forever and always, CMC. He will forever be a Panther in my heart. But hopefully you're right. Brock Purdy, he plays better when his weapons are there, as any quarterback should. Let's quickly segue into the NBA. The Knicks and Pacers are set for the Eastern Conference Finals, but I think the bigger story is the Jason Tatum injury. Ruptured his Achilles. Basically, he's going to be out all next season. The Celtics, from what everybody's saying, might be getting rid of some of their stars. But I'm actually excited for this Knicks-Pacers Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, bringing back the early 90s, hopefully that rivalry heats up a little bit. So then we got the T-Wolves. They're waiting on OKC and Denver, playing Game 7 tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 in the afternoon. Who do you think is going to go against the T-Wolves in the Western Conference Finals?
I don't know. It's back and forth in that one. I'll get back to Jason Tatum, though. Like, that's a hard injury just to come back from, period. Mm-hmm. And then especially with it being basketball, with all the jumping and landing on the hard court, like it's up in the air if he even does make a comeback, because that is very tough to come back from in a sport like that. If it's not like you need that Achilles to jump and land. As far as the rest of it goes in the Western Conference, I don't know who's going to win that one. It's been so back and forth. You'd have like one game where one wins big and the other one comes back the next week and wins, or next game wins big. And then the rest of the games are so tight. I don't know. that one I can't predict. I'm leaning towards Denver. Don't ask me why, because I don't know. It just feels like the right thing to do. But the rest of it, yeah, I don't know. But I'm excited to see that Knicks Pacers. I thought the Knicks would meet here, so I think I think it's gonna be Knicks. Honestly, coming out of it.
Ooh, Knicks going to the finals. That would help New York right there a little bit. It helped their market a little bit more. For the Tatum injury, man, I healthy recovery. Hope he comes back. He's a hell of a basketball player. He does it the right way. I think what is going to help Mr. Tatum is, I mean, he's the Mamba mentality 2025. I mean, he learned from Kobe, so I think he's going to get in the lab. He's going to get to work, and he's going to come back. Is it going to be a long road? Absolutely, but I wish him nothing but the best. Happy, healthy man. He's one of the few guys I actually really like in the NBA. Yeah, that Knicks Pacers series is going to be good. I'm going to lean towards the Knicks. And speaking of OKC and Denver, I think it's going to come down to whether Aaron Gordon plays tomorrow or not. Supposedly he's in doubt. If he's not playing, I'm going to go with SGA and OKC. I just feel like I'm speaking in military terms with all the acronyms and Armed Forces Day right there.
Armed Forces Day right there.
Armed Forces Day, baby. Speaking of Armed Forces Day, you love the new Armed Forces MLB New Era hat, Texas Rangers. Shout them out. T-Wolves, though, I'm honestly going to pick the T-Wolves no matter what in that Western Conference Finals. So it looks like I'm picking the Knicks and the T-Wolves. Ant-Man is just dominating. Just something about that young man. He might have been an asshole in that movie with Adam Sandler, but he's a hell of a basketball player, and that's going to be fun. And speaking of winners, the Dallas Mavericks somehow pulled a rabbit out of the hat this week. They had a 1.8% chance of getting the number one pick, and they somehow secured the Cooper Flag draft. Cooper Flag's about to go to Dallas and play with AD, Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson. A bunch of champions about to surround him. That must be the NBA's way of saying, "Hey, Nico, you screwed up, but we're going to help you fix it when you got rid of Luka." So,
are we going back to the freezing the envelope conversation here?
Dude, look, man, I see something on Twitter this week where it listed when New Orleans traded Anthony Davis away, they got the number one pick. When New Orleans traded Chris Paul away, they got the number one pick. And now it's just history repeating itself. So it might not be a frozen envelope. It's definitely a bigger ball or something. I don't know. But somehow Dallas ended up the lowest. They're screwing over the damn Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets cannot catch a break when it comes to the damn NBA lottery. They have never secured a number one pick since they have returned from the Bobcats to Charlotte Hornets. I don't know, man. I think the NBA's pissed off that Jordan used to own them or something. Now they just want the whole damn franchise to fall off. But
I mean, it's true. But then you could keep going back too. You got Derrick Rose with Chicago. I mean, it's crazy. There's too many coincidences that there's nothing there. Now, it is a lottery, and it's not like football where you finish last, you get first pick. But it's just so many coincidences. Like you said, the list you just did, you got Rose to Chicago. There was another one, somebody going back home that they picked a while back. Come on, man, make it not as obvious.
Look, this is all I'm going to tell you. I play NBA 2K. And the first damn rule change I do is the draft lottery. I do it. I start off with records. Worst record gets the number one pick. And then I go in that draft lottery, number one row to the number one pick or whatever the hell it's called. So, that's what
it makes more sense, too, because, I mean, there's only 5 players on the court, right? One player, I mean, we've all seen it. One player can completely change your franchise. Absolutely. At least in football, granted, if you have a great quarterback, you can still compete. You can get yourself in the playoffs. But, I mean, it takes everyone. And go back to last year's Super Bowl. It took a phenomenal defense. Yet the Eagles have a great quarterback. Took a phenomenal defense to stop KC. And then the offense can do something. So it took all players that are on the field to do something. So I don't like the lottery. I've never liked the lottery. I think it's dumb. I think it's just you're keeping your big market teams at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. That's what you're doing. You're giving your big market teams another opportunity to stay at the top, and then your small market teams, like you're talking about with Charlotte, with New Orleans. I mean, New Orleans, they get it, but they don't build anything down there. They get that one high pick, and then that's it. So yeah, I don't like it. I hate the lottery. I really do.
I hate it. I hate everything about the NBA draft lottery. I don't even watch it. I'm just like, whatever. Someone's going to get screwed again somehow. Speaking of being screwed again, the MLB has now lifted the lifetime ban. It's a little too late for Mr. Pete Rose, the greatest hitter of all time, and shoeless Joe Jackson are some of the bigger names that the ban's got lifted. I think it is obviously way too late for Pete Rose to be eligible for the Hall of Fame. RIP Pete Rose, by the way. He should have walked in the Hall of Fame while he was still living and breathing on this earth. That whole damn thing is crazy. I'm glad he's now eligible. However, it's not going to be the same without that man walking on the stage in Cooperstown and giving his Hall of Fame speech the way it should go. But Manfield said it himself. Once you die, your ban is lifted or you're dead.
It's a lifetime ban, so he's no longer living. So lifetime ban doesn't exist anymore. So I agree with that. I agree with what you're saying. I think he should have got in. The only thing that is messed up with it now is that he doesn't go in front of the full Hall of Fame committee. He goes into the Legends Committee, and it's only like 16 people voting. Yeah. So it's going to be, I think, harder for him to get in now, because now you're going to talk about people who, like, him betting on baseball.
They might have lost money that game. Still bitter.
Yeah. Well, it's just him betting on baseball, being that he broke that cardinal rule, that they're going to be like, no, they're not going to, I don't think they're going to look at the body of work. They're just going to be like, no. So, the one I'm really interested in is shoeless Joe Jackson, because there was never any proof that shoeless actually did what they said. Now, the rest of the team did, but did shoeless actually do it? There was never anything that said that he actually did it, because if you look at what he did in that game, he still played his ass off. Mm-hmm. So that's the one that I'm interested to see if he actually gets in or not. When it comes to Pete, I just don't think they're going to put him in because of who's voting for it.
Yeah, it's still a terrible thing. It's shitty all the way around. I'm glad he's eligible. Let's just be real. At some point in time, he will go into the Hall of Fame. It does not matter. Some of them voters will end up losing their voting or die off, just like he did. At some point in time, he will go in. I would have loved to have seen it while he was still alive. Hell, he went in the WWE Hall of Fame before he went in the MLB Hall of Fame, for God's sake. Okay, so
sure.
My man took a damn tombstone and a chokeslam from Kane. So, he's in the Hall of Fame. At least he's in one Hall of Fame that we care about. All right.
Right. Exactly.
So, I don't even know how to come up with the next one. I should be excited for the next topic we're talking about, when my Hurricanes defeated the great Alexander Ovechkin and the Capitals in a 4-1 series victory. Now they get to await the Toronto and Florida series. Hopefully it's Florida, a little bit closer if I actually do want to go to a game, because I'm not going to Toronto. So I think my Hurricanes are still going to win it all. And I could really care less about the Western Conference with Edmonton and whoever they're playing in the Western Conference Finals or whatever. However, I think my Hurricanes are gonna win it all this year, and that's all I'm gonna say about the.
Dude, this freaking Toronto Florida series is unreal though. Like, it was neck and neck, and then the other night, freaking Florida goes out there and like hangs 6 on them. It was like, what just happened? And they were in Toronto when this happened. It was wild. So yeah, dude, this final game between these two, I have no idea. You can't pick this one. This one there's no way you're picking it. I do agree though. I think Carolina right now, they're playing a hot stick right now. I think they're the ones that's going to pull it off and get to the cup. But yeah, this Florida Toronto one is phenomenal. This is why playoff hockey. This is why playoff sports, period, is why it's so amazing to watch.
Yeah, and look, I hope Florida wins, not because I'm from Florida, but because I can call it the Carolina Panthers. Eastern Conference Finals because you got the Carolina Hurricanes, the Florida Panthers. So I'm going to take off the Hurricanes, and I'm going to take off the Florida, and it's going to be the Carolina Panthers, or it could be the Florida Hurricanes. Yeah. See, I'm looking out for the best of both worlds. And speaking of the best of both worlds, we're going to talk about your world. Hey, F1's in Rome today. They're qualifying. Last I seen, old Maxwell was in first in qualifying. So give us your thoughts going into this race.
Yeah, so right before we got on the air, the qualifying ended and Max dropped off the second. They went out for their last flying lap, and Oscar Piastri pulled it off right at the end. Max gave it a valiant effort at the end, but it's so the thing that shocks me about it is that being that they're in Italy and it's Ferrari's home course, and Ferrari didn't make it into the final qualifying. That's the part that shocked me. I thought one of them would make it in there. But they didn't, and it's going to be an interesting race, but it's going to be, I mean, your top four is your usual top four now. It's the two McLarens, it's Max, and it's the Mercedes. So, I mean, it looks like Oscar's probably going to take the whole thing again. Max is going to sit there and fight his ass off to try to win it. But the Red Bull car is just not what it was 2 years ago. And I don't know if McLaren, what they did, who they hired, but the work and ethic that they put in for the last 2 years to get to this season is showing up huge now. Because if you watch the Netflix shows, man, when they said it was going to take, Zach Brown said once Red Bull did what they did, watch out. And Zach got the McLarens going, and they are pointing forward, and they are fast. McLaren's going to run away with all of it this year. You know, the season just started. We're not even a halfway point yet, but there's nothing that anyone's doing right now that can touch it. Because like you said, when Max was up there in first after the first lap of the final qualifying, and you're like, okay, well, they got a shot. And then boom, here comes Oscar. And Oscar got held up and coming out of the final corner too. He had 3 cars in front of him, so he had to dodge them to get around, and he still beat Max. So yeah, it's going to be McLaren. McLaren's going to run the season this year for the rest of the year. Max is going to sit there wondering, what can I do? What can I do? Because again, I still think Max is the best driver. He just doesn't have the car underneath him.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting going into the end of the season. And with that being said, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have our very special guest, Steven Bartlett, on the show with us. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, happy on Fortune Day. Thank you for hanging with the Chads. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with our special guest. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, and everything in between. Welcome back to Hanging with the Chads on a very special Armed Forces Saturday. Boudreaux, welcome back. The greatest tag team partner ever. We got Chad Boudreaux, you got Chad Springer. And without any further ado, we're going to bring in the triple threat today. He is a head basketball coach. He is an assistant football coach. He is a Cat U graduate from Catawba College, a football alumni there. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mr. Steven Bartlett. Good morning, Bartlett. How are we doing today?
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me. Really fun to be out here and see what you guys are doing, just listening so far. Very interesting.
Hopefully you learned something new while you was listening, because that's all we're trying to do out here is learn something and make it a good show. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Steven Bartlett with us. He's head boys basketball coach at Forestview High School. Forestview High School should hold a very special place in Mr. Bartlett's heart, because he is an alumni of that prestigious high school. And before we get started, hey, Mr. Bartlett, tell everybody who you are.
Steven Bartlett, kind of like Chad said, I went to Catawba, was blessed to play football there. But first, I obviously went to Forestview High School and was able to play football and a few other sports there. But football was my true passion, and was able to receive an offer to go play at Catawba. Did for 4 years. Graduated and came back, and was after a few years at a few different schools, was able to find my route back to Forestview, where I wanted to be and where I wanted to ultimately try to end my career. So I was able to do it a lot faster than what I thought it would be.
That's always good. It's always good to go back home. There's nothing wrong with wanting to go back home, to build off the legacy you already had there. And speaking of going back home, to you, what does it mean to go back to Forestview? Like that sense of pride, that sense of belonging. Obviously, it's there, but how does it feel to be there?
It's to me every day. It's a fun opportunity. It honestly does mean the world to me. We actually, so for example, our football staff, the head coach is a Forestview alumni. Myself, we got a few other coaches that went and played at Forestview, and even one that I was even actually able to coach my first year back. He actually came back and got into the coaching world pretty quickly after he graduated. And then the same for basketball. We have an all alumni staff. So we're trying to, keep the Jaguar spirit or that pride in the schools and try to convey it to our athletes. But it does mean the world to me just to be there. So I try to take advantage of every opportunity while I'm there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about the opportunities, and you're doing an amazing job with those kids. And because we say it every day, it's all about the kids. We only do this for the kids, man. We lose all that sleep. We work all those long hours only for the kids. And how is it, managing those athletes, especially being a multi-sport coach with you, and how is it managing the athletes, and what type of advice do you get them? Because you've been to college, you've been in that school, you walked those same hallways. Like, then nobody can really say you haven't done what they've done, because you've done everything they've done and the things that they want to do. So how is it managing all of those athletes, and then also giving them that life advice?
Well, I mean, both of you guys are coaches too, so you know how it is. Everybody thinks they know everything. And we was all at that point too one time when we were their age. But um, it's been interesting. I've had to change up ways to convey my message to kids. And some take it, some don't. And I mean, that's just kind of how it always is. And it's been fun to try to figure out how to manage, because a lot of guys, they're like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, or you just making stuff up. And I'm like, no, like this is what to expect. Like I'm not telling you to do anything that I didn't do. I'm not telling you to think anything that I didn't think. And like I said, some guys, I've been reluctant to have a lot of guys that have left and been able to leave Forestview and go to the collegiate level, text me or give me a call, or when they come back and visit and say, hey, coach, you were right. And some have even went on to say, I'm sorry for not believing you. and I'm like, I said, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm just looking to try to make sure that, you get to live out your opportunity, what your goals, what you want to do with your life. I just, I try to, give advice of make sure you're doing what you think is best for you. Don't do what I think or what someone else thinks, or it's what's best for you. And and that's kind of the approach I've taken, especially this past year, was just, hey, because we've had a few guys that were able to sign with a few different football teams, and we actually had a basketball player commit a week and a half ago. And then we got another basketball player that's about to commit here shortly. He's just kind of weighing out some options, and the things that I told them when they were like, "Hey, coach, what do you think?" And I'm like, I mean, you do what you bet. Like, it's not Steven Bartlett's life. It's what you want. What you think is the best.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And Boudreaux, you got any follow-up questions with that?
Yeah. So I heard that you got your ride as a deep snapper. And that goes to your body of work. And so how do you portray that to your athletes, knowing that you weren't like the star quarterback or a star wideout. You were a long snapper, and you still got your ride. You still got to go to college on a ride because of your body of work in and out of the classroom.
Well, so in high school, I played, both sides of the ball, all special teams. But I mean, I knew just from the jump. I mean, my dad, he was a realist to me. You're slow and you're undersized.
Rudy, Rudy.
and, and he's like, hey, you're a good athlete. He never like told me I wasn't a good athlete, but just, he kept it real with me. But he, said, hey, like if you really truly want to play at the collegiate level, then maybe let's take a look at long snapping. And I was kind of like, dude, I don't want to be a long snapper. And, I kind of just started doing it. Just we'd be in the backyard and he's like, just try it. And then next thing you know, we're going for lessons. And then the next thing you know, it's I'm tagging this on my recruiting profile or on my, my Coach Med, my head coach when I was in high school, is creating a long snapping recruiting video for me. and Catawba was the one that kind of was interested in all of it. So that's what they did. And so how I try to convey it to the kids is that in my opinion, one of the most unselfish positions, because we always talk about it, Forestview attitude of gratitude, having humility, and not walking around thinking that you're this, you're that, and your body of work needs to show over you talking. And so I try to convey it to them. One of the most unselfish positions in football is the long snapper, because if you have a good long snapper, you don't know their name. Like you'll never know I mean, unless like you're like me, where like I'm a big fan of Pat McAfee, and Pat promotes kind of those type of guys, and I'm a Panthers fan.
Brand.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of like JJ Jansen for the Panthers. That's only because I'm a long snapper. How many people I mean, most Carolina fans probably couldn't tell you who JJ is.
He's number 44.
Yeah.
Played close
Yeah.
games out of everybody. I can tell you.
Yeah.
So first of all, shout out Papa Bartlett, because I've seen him numerous times, and yes, he is a very direct and realist individual. So I can imagine how that conversation went. So he was probably sitting in the Mustang in the driveway, and he was probably telling you right then and there, just shout him out. So speaking of Catawba, you played 4 years at Catawba College, and looking back at those 4 years, what stands out the most about your 4 years? And before you say anything, you cannot say the conference championship season. I need to know something else. What stands out more than that?
I mean, there's a lot that stands out, but one of the things that stands out to me, and I think this is kind of like what developed my coaching career and who I am now as a coach. We doing winter gym one day. For people who don't know what winter gym is, it's winter workouts. You got to wake up like 5 in the morning, and you're doing a bunch of like mat drills, bag drills, sprinting, running, and the whole time, you got your coaches there, and most of them are leading a drill. And me and the coach actually got into it one day because he made a comment of that just didn't sit with me that morning for some reason the right way. And I'm not going to get into the comment, but like and me and him actually exchanged a few choice words towards each other. And after that, I sat back and kind of, as I matured and I sit back now, I truly believe he was just trying to push me to push myself. And, obviously we never really discussed the situation, me and him after that. We kind of just moved on and, then I graduated and he's left and gotten other coaching positions now from across different schools and stuff like that. So, I I truly believe that's what like kind of like helped shape my career as a coach, or my thought process, because, when you are pushing someone to be the best they can be, sometimes you are going to get a little fight back from them. But, as long as you can keep it within reason of trying to make sure that they know that you're trying to build them and trying to, um, make them better and make them want to be better, then I think you're doing the right thing.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
that's kind of like what stood out to me. Obviously, you said the conference championship, and that was a very fun time. Um, if you don't, I won't speak on this if you don't want me to, but I
Oh
just
no, no, you
remember.
can't. I'm just saying
Okay,
you need to find something. We know that would be top on the list, other
right.
than our favorite physical education classes. So
Oh yeah, yeah. Well. One of the other standouts of Catawba wasn't football; it was the friendships that I made.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
with you, with another former teammate, Chad Hollinsworth, a kicker. Matter of
I
fact,
need to
me and
get him
him
on.
are yeah. Matter of fact, me and him are actually going to dinner tonight. Haven't seen each other in a while. I say a
Tell Chad
while.
he's always welcome to hang in with the Chads. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
He
the
would be
tallest
a
kicker,
very fun.
Boudreaux.
He'd
He
be
is the
a very
tallest kicker
fun
you'll ever
time.
meet.
Yeah, and he's super. The relationship with you that I built within our classes that we took. I don't think I would have gotten through kinesiology with without you in there, because I had no clue what was going on.
So, hey, hey, I got a funny story about that class. And you know exactly where I'm about to go,
Oh
dude.
yeah, oh yeah,
All right, so shout out Victor Ramos, what the professor, Vic. That's all I
yeah,
know. Yo, his tact, his demeanor, whenever this one student stood up in the middle of class and questioned why we're doing a certain thing, he was basically like, if you don't like it, you can leave. It was just, me and Bartlett, we're just sitting in the back doing our coloring books.
yeah.
The day they're due. So it's funny,
Got to
right?
color,
Wednesday
got to
coloring
color
books.
40 pages in 5 minutes.
It's just like I'm like, hey, what color did you color that one? Yeah, that was a fun class, but there was a moment where we actually quit coloring and looked up like, this dude really just say that?
Yeah, I thought he was about to go up and fight him for a second. I was like, oh,
Really
this is going to
did.
be interesting.
He was it mad that we had the coloring books and he had to color it? Because
Yeah,
I can give you a quick backstory. He was in the Air Force, but he was very upset that we had a coloring book. I'm over there
yeah,
like, cool deal, bro. This is easy A. But
yeah. He was like, you just gotta color it, and you gotta show me. So sometimes I would just color like 10 pages and just show him like the 10,
we
and then
we
move on
we
from it.
may or may not have traded books a couple of times.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Uh, we may or may not have had a test taking party because a certain individual on this podcast had unlimited test taking time. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
no wonder everybody had an A in the class.
yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
But it was a fun time. Yeah, Catawba was fun, man. It was a fun time. Obviously, we spoke of friendships. We met there. You're one of the first people I met there. Became my little brother instantly. Speaking of Catawba, you know, there's a lot of excitement going around Catawba College's football program. I don't know if you've been keeping up with it, but I've been keeping up with it a little bit. The new head coach, Coach Hines, yeah. He's there. I just want to know your thoughts. He brought back the All Reds. How do you feel about the All Red uniform?
I I kind of, I could say I'm jealous, but
I'm jealous.
it's one of those things where when I started playing there, we were very traditional. They wanted the traditional blue and gray that because they did away with the red for a while, and the traditional back when Catawba first started playing in like 1851, they were blue and gray and white, and that's what we wore my first year. And then as the years went on, Coach Walker, shout out Jalen Walker, by the way.
I was about to hit that up.
Yeah, but Coach Walker actually brought back a little bit of red in the process. But when I was there, it was the blue, white, and gray jersey that we had, and then the white and blue pants and gray pants. And I'm a little jealous to say that they're doing a little bit of more fancier stuff there. You know, I mean, I'm not, I can be openly honest. I'm not a big fan of the turf fields. Never have been, because you get all that crap in your shoes. And, you know, if I say this because I played some on turf fields in high school, and not, and I was just, you know, sparingly play as a long snapper in college on turf fields. But you get all those rubber pellets, somehow they'll end up like all the way up your legs, all the way up your shoulder pads, and you know you'll have random scratches and turf burns and stuff like that. But they thought that it was the best to turf it at Catawba. I always liked the actual real grass, and I always thought that was kind of something that we took pride in, because not many schools in our conference had real grass. It's like us and Wingate, and that was it.
Yeah, shout out Coach Curtis Walker. He is the father of one Jalen Walker, first round draft pick for the Atlanta Falcons. Shout out Salisbury. Curtis Walker is a All-American at Catawba College, ended up coming back home to be the head coach. And you know, we hope that he's having a good time doing whatever he's doing right now. Boudreaux, next question.
So getting on the turf situation, my high school that I did yet, we have turf, and yeah, I'm with you. I love the turf as an AD. I don't have to do anything.
Right.
But we went out there. I went out there yesterday right after school, and I checked the temperature on the field, and it was 147 degrees.
Yeah.
So and I wish I was over exaggerating. That wasn't an over exaggeration.
Wow.
So it just why do you think going back to the red was a big deal for the coaching staff?
So I'd be honest with you. I don't know this coaching staff enough to really give a great answer for them, but I can say for the school aspect, just the red, white, and blue of Catawba is just something that when you know Chad can explain this. You just when you find a Catawba alum, and it doesn't matter where you are, what part of the world you're in, or where, it's just like you can have a conversation with them, and you know that those like red, white, and blue colors, like they believe in those colors together. And with you know, the other day I was just walking and seen somebody wearing a Catawba hat, and I just stopped and had like a 10-minute conversation with them, and they were like from class of like 1996, you know. And so it's just one of those things where I would like it's a big deal for the school because it's tradition. Catawba has a very large tradition and a very big family appeal.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, just a small school like that, you're always going to have that. But I will say this, they are, I actually received a call from a former teammate last week. They are honoring all the conference championship teams at homecoming. So like I think they're just bringing in everybody from all the teams that have won previously. So
that would be like 18,947 baseball players. So I'm just not exaggerating.
I think it's just more or less for football. You know.
Speaking of baseball, shout out
yeah.
Catawba College baseball team. They did win another district tournament this year. Coach Gant, 1,000 victories.
Wow.
Crazy numbers. One of the greatest baseball coaches you're ever going to meet. And he's a winner. So shout out Catawba baseball. I know. So we're going to get back into your current life.
Mm-hmm.
Since you walked the halls at Forestview as a student, and now you're walking them as a teacher, as a coach, as someone that's been there, what are some of the changes you've seen, whether it's, from the community aspect, whether it's through not really like the administration, like giving you money support, but like just like the support from the admin, uh, what are the changes you've seen? Like, just overall bigger community support, you know, more fandom, what are you seeing from the time you was there to now?
So what I see now is, well, when I was there, that a lot of kids grew up together and went through elementary, middle, high school together.
Mm-hmm.
And you played like your youth ball, whether it's baseball or basketball or Pop Warner together. Now with like Gaston County moving towards the school of choice, uh, you're getting a little bit of different kids from across, the kids that maybe don't know this kid or that kid. And Forest has always been a two school uh, high school is what I say, because we pull from two local middle schools, which those two local middle schools both they go to different high schools. Like Cramerton is between South Point and Forestview, and Southwest is between Hunter Huss and Forestview.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the community goes, when I was there, we really didn't have a big booster club. But we were on my return as a coach, where the booster club is building. It's gotten a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. Obviously we're always looking for members to make it even stronger. Uh, the as far as the kids go, I mean, high school kids are always going to be high school kids. All kids are different anyway nowadays. Like as far as like from when I grew up to now, I just remember being outside every day. But kids are just different, and I'm sure it's the same in about every school across the country. So,
You want to see a high school kid in the state of Florida?
but
I can show you right now.
yeah, they're just texting. That's all they do, man. They find a way to be on that phone 24/7. But I mean, truly, I will say this: truly, the community is a great community. There is support, and it's growing, and that's great. Gaston County has built another school, Stuart Kramer, and that kind of dented Forestview for a minute, because some kids went to Stuart Kramer that would go to Forestview, not very little, but now it's now that they've got it flowing back and everything, Forestview's getting some more athletes back in, more students back in, and things are looking up as far as it goes.
Hey, have fun with school of choice, man. If it's anything
Yeah.
like Florida, it's about to be the wild, wild west, baby.
It really, I will say this: Gaston County's done a great job of kind of controlling that. I guess it's not that bad. I mean, so I mean, yeah, you're gonna lose. Like Forestview, for example, is the AIG program, or the college prep, or whatever it's called. And we've gotten a lot of great kids that came through, and some were good, some were athletes, some were not. And you're going to lose kids, because that's just the way, the nature of today's world anyway, is transfer and go here, transfer and go there. And so I mean, you can't. I don't blame any coach, any school. I don't blame any county. That's just the culture of today.
Yeah, that transfer portal is real, especially when I'm looking on Twitter, scrolling through, and I see a high school kid saying, "I'm going to transfer from one school for my senior year of eligibility to another school." Like you're announcing that, bro? Like how much they paying you on that NIL deal?
Yeah.
It's like crazy, man.
And we got NIL here in Florida, so
I mean, like I said, I really truly commend like the county for kind of the ground rules that they laid, they try to make sure that it's followed, and that is a good thing. Now, I mean, you know, whether or not a kid is telling the truth on whether they transfer or don't transfer, you know, that's neither here nor there. But as far as the school of choice, the kids that are going to the school of choice are actually, you know, being held accountable within that school of choice. So,
And my last question before Boudreaux asks his last question, mine's a two-parter. How do you manage your roles for your multi-sport coaching with football and basketball, especially when they overlap? And the last part of that question is, from your coaching perspective, you know, building off the success you've had this year, what is your vision in both football and basketball going into next year?
well, as far as managing it goes, is I have a great uh, assistant coach for basketball who probably, if there was any way I could pay him more, I would. You know, he runs a lot of the open gyms, and as far as summer stuff goes, I'm already there for football workouts, so I just tag basketball right after football, and you know, and then from there, most of the time, you know, so I'm trying to get more kids to play football that play basketball, but you know how that is. A lot of times, basketball kids are they don't want to smoke.
I'm a basketball player.
But some do, some don't. But you know, as far as just, you know, managing it, he's done a great job. My assistant coach has done a great job just doing that type of stuff. He actually, during spring for spring ball, he actually, while I was outside coaching football, he was running all the open gyms and running all the you know, workouts that we have. And I got a great staff as far as basketball goes. So my JV coach he's done a fantastic job. Um, he I hired him 2 years ago, and he has not had a losing season yet. Matter of fact, in 2 years, he's won 26 games. One of those seasons, he went 15-6. So as far as the program for basketball, when I took over the program from a great coach, um, you know, we had in our opinion, just a couple of down years, and now, you know, we hadn't been in the playoffs for 5 years at that point, and this past season, we actually made the playoffs. We had some goals set. We didn't meet all the goals, obviously. We had a goal to have a winning season, but we ended up finishing in the regular season 11-13. But part of that goal to have a winning season, we were like, we want to have double wins this year. We want to have 10 or more wins, which we were able to accomplish. We had a couple of small goals for players, 250 assists on a career, 1,000-point career, which we were able to get. Tried to get to, which, I mean, I know 250 assists is not just something you honor, you know, like at a school, but I honor that as just being a coach. Like, you can get 250 assists in your career, that means you played really hard, and we're trying to distribute the ball. Football wise, we've had a couple of down years, but man, I will tell you this. We were, the past 2 seasons, if anything could go wrong at any time, it did. You know, there was 2 years ago, there were 4 or 5 games that we had the lead going into the fourth quarter, and maybe even the lead with 5 minutes left in the game, and a fumble here, a missed field goal there, a big play give up. You know, one. You know, I never forget, we were playing one of the rival schools, and we were up pretty much the whole game. And I mean, they didn't have an answer for us. And then they just had a miraculous fourth quarter, and we were still up with about 2 minutes left in the game, and driving just to stall out and win, you know, just trying to waste the clock because they didn't have any timeouts. Fumbled the football. On a first down run, kid made a great play to get a first down, got hit, fumbled. They picked it up and went and tied the game and beat us in overtime. And then our arch rival, we played lights out and came up a half a yard short. Just anything you could have. We could have went up 3 scores, or dropped wide open pass, dropped. Just unfortunate events.
Sometimes in football, it's just by the way the ball bounces.
Yeah. And I mean, even in basketball, this past year, we had a couple of unfortunate events happen in games. So, it is what it is. That's why you coach and why you play.
Exactly. Boudreaux, final question.
Do you ever just pinch yourself, like thinking how lucky you are to be able to coach and be at your alma mater? Because that, to me, I think is like the ultimate dream for anybody who gets in this profession.
I agree.
Yeah, sometimes I have to check myself, because sometimes it does come with a level of complacency. I just enjoy every minute of it. Like I can't explain it. Through the hard times and the good times, there's always been, that love for Forestview, and there's always been that love for the kids. And I couldn't ask for it any other way, because I get to go to a community that knows me and supports me, a community that I supported before I even played. And then obviously when I did play, obviously I had support of the community. And then now, even after, you can ask Chad, I was still a big Forestview advocate and supporter, even when we coached at East Gasson together.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's always been, for me, the ultimate goal to go back and coach there and give back to the people that gave so much to me.
Absolutely. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Steven Bartlett. He's the head basketball coach at Forestview High School. He's an assistant football coach, and he's an educator, always giving back to the kids. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to finish off a little fun. Bujo's favorite time is having a little fun. Hey, thank you for hanging out with us on this Armed Forces weekend, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. Thank you for hanging with the Chads. We will be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Good morning. We are back. We hope you're having a wonderful weekend this weekend. And as always, thank you for hanging with the Chads. I'm Chad Springer, joined by the greatest tag team partner ever, Chad Boudreaux, and our very special guest today, Steven Bartlett. Steven, first off, thank you for being a part of our show today. Thank you for giving us your insight on the show. And, just thank you for being you. Hell of a mentor, hell of a coach, hell of an educator. You're doing an amazing job over there where you're at. And we couldn't thank you enough for being on the show today and giving us your insight.
Thank you for having me.
If you're a fan of the show, like everybody else listening out there, you know that we got to have a little bit of fun at the end. Boudreaux, if you didn't know, Steven here is a huge UNC Tar Heel fan and a huge Carolina Panther fan. But if you look at his chest, his alma mater is the Jaguars, who is also hates the Carolina Panthers, and they have the same Jaguar colors. So like his closet's a little mixed with some colors that don't match well in the washing machine, So we're going to have a little bit of fun with him today, and we're going to hit some rapid fire. Bartlett, I'm going to let you go first. You're going to have to choose one or the other. I'm going to give you some Carolina Panther selections. I'm going to give you some Carolina Tar Heel selections, and you're going to have to choose between the two on who you would rather have. All right? You ready to play a little game with us real quick? Hey, I'm just going to hit it from the top. Rory Williams, Dean Smith, who are you picking? Hammer right over the shoulder.
I'm just such a Roy fan. I'm a big Dean's fan. I'm a big Hubert fan, you know. So, but I grew up. I mean, obviously, if I was 6'7" and a basketball, talent, then I would have loved to play for Roy. So, Roy Williams is who I go for most of the time.
Boudreaux, any thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm a little older than you guys, so I kind of raised in both of them. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna go Roy only because he had to face Coach K every year, and Dean didn't have to do that every year. So
Right.
I'm gonna have to say that because of that rivalry there, and watching that special between him two when they got back together and had that thing in the middle of the gym, that was pretty cool. So I'll say Roy.
I'm going Dean because he coached the GOAT. That's all I'm saying. He coached the
But
GOAT.
Dean coached a lot more household basketball names than Roy did. That's for sure. As
True.
far as like professionally, Roy coached a lot of. Obviously, if you're a Tar Heel fan, majority of the Tar Heels that played.
Absolutely. Hey, here, I'm going to give you a start bench cut. You ready for this?
All
Dean
right.
Smith, Hubert Davis, or Roy Williams. You got to start one, bench one, and cut one.
Ooh.
Not so easy when you get on the hot seat, buddy.
Yeah. I'd say this because I never really. Honestly, I didn't get to grow up and watch Dean coach. As a matter of fact, my first early memories of watching Carolina was Brad Daugherty as the head coach. So,
That was some horrible years.
I would say Roy start, bench Dean because Dean was the one that taught Roy. So, having Dean in your ear on the bench would be, a little bit more of a help. And no offense to Hubert, I think he's done a fantastic job. He's made 100 wins and he's only been head coach for 4 years. So that's 25 wins a year. So he's doing exactly. Even though Carolina fans are a little bit hard on him, he's done nothing but do exactly what they wanted him to do. So
Boudreaux.
Yeah. No, I'm agreeing with that. Yeah, Hubert's done a great job, but it's just we gotta wait. We gotta wait to see where he goes, right?
right,
And then the other ones, they have the history. We know where they're at. We know what they've done. Yeah, you gotta go that way.
Here's the positive. Roy actually had success outside of Carolina, though. That's the thing too. He went when he went to Kansas. He had success there too. So
yeah. But how many? The question that I ask Carolina fans that do bash Hubert is how many coaches do you know make it to a national championship their very first year and then follow that year with questionable season, but then literally rebound with the exact same players and win ACC and NC State went on that little magical run. But win an ACC and be a number one seed, and then even this year, you know, when the time was right, or when the nitty gritty came down to it, they were able to win the games they were supposed to win. They were able to make it to the tournament. They were able to, at least play 2 games in the tournament. So, you know, it's all relative here because I can say this: John Shire ain't been to a national championship.
here we go, throwing shots.
It don't matter. It don't matter who you recruit. He ain't been to a national championship. Matter of fact, Carolina's been to more national championships in the past 5 years compared to Duke. So,
as you can tell,
John won a championship as a player. He's obviously been, but like as a coach, he's not been.
And if it wasn't for that freak injury in the NBA Summer League, he'd probably still be in the NBA. Let's just be honest with you. I hear biggest heartbreak. You ready? Villanova hitting the game-winning shot in the national championship, or Carolina losing to Denver in the Super Bowl at my house?
biggest heartbreak for me is watching like that, because that 2016 team was they were supposed to win it.
Mhm.
So I would say that, but the most heartbreaking thing about the Panthers was they everything happened that year that just was unreal. It was, they Cam Newton made it cool to be a Panther fan,
Mhm.
you know. So it was heartbreaking to watch them kind of like fold
Mhm.
in that game after they had battled so many games prior. But I mean, obviously the Villanova shot, because I mean, most people forget that like Marcus Page hit like the most miraculous three literally the possession before that. So, it was one of those things. I've watched that play probably just as a basketball coach, just trying to, study what do you do in that situation if you're Carolina? Okay, what do you do if you're Villanova? So like I've watched it as a fan, I've watched it as a coach, I've watched it as just a innocent bystander trying not to get mad at people saying Carolina sucks in your local restaurants or something like that. So
Hey, a quick backstory about that. I'm at the house, sitting on my truck. He's watching the game inside, and I think I was probably talking to our roommate, and all I heard was no, and they looked at me. They was like, "What happened?" I was like, "I think UNC just lost." Steven comes running out of the house. He just hit a shot from half court. They lost the game. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. And
Yeah.
I picked on him for about a year for that. So my biggest heartbreak is obviously the Carolina Panthers losing the Super Bowl. We had plans to go to Dick's Sporting Goods as soon as the
yeah,
game was over to get our Super Bowl shirts and wear them to
yeah,
college the next day. That did
yeah,
not happen. We was not a very happy people. Steven, we had a lot of food that day at the
we
house.
did.
There was a lot of cake, a lot of buffalo wings, all sorts of stuff. It was a good day. Um, one more little tidbit here. We're gonna go Mac Brown, Ron Rivera. So we have your college coach and your NFL coach. Who are you picking?
I mean, Ron. Like, I mean, I love Mac Brown. Well, now it's Belichick, so we'll see how
I forgot about that.
yeah. Now we'll see how Belichick does. But I mean, I mean, this is going to sound weird, but as a Tar Heel fan, there's only like two coaches that I ever wanted to play under, and neither one of them coached at Carolina. If that makes sense. Like if I was at that level to make it to, big time FBS, I'd rather played under Saban or Fisher, Jimbo Fisher at the time, but I
Mm.
mean, I was a big Mac Brown fan. But Rivera, he his time in Charlotte was that was when I feel like the Panthers were at their best.
Yeah.
That's when I feel like they were you wanted to be a Carolina Panther, because Ron did a great job, and then he kind of brought that to Washington, like his little, the moxie that he brings, his little attitude and stuff like that. And I think that you seeing it now, even though he's no longer, there, you're seeing it like and how they have made their draft picks and stuff like that. Like I don't think Ron Rivera had a bad draft.
Shout out Riverboat Ron Rivera,
Yeah,
the greatest Carolina Panther head coach to ever step foot at Bank of America Stadium. I will always
right,
and forever be a Riverboat Ron Rivera fan. Uh,
right.
literally. Boudreaux, you got anything on your head about these games?
Yeah, those two between Riverboat Ron and Mac, I'm the same way, man. Riverboat Ron, he as a Saints fan, he scared me. I hated going against Carolina when he was there. Because you never knew what was gonna happen. There's a reason why he's Riverboat Ron, right? But yeah, you didn't know what was gonna happen in those games. You didn't know, and it wasn't because he wasn't consistent. It was it was because you didn't know how the Saints were gonna play. So yeah, I would go Riverboat Ron. I mean, I was back Brown fan. Texas win the national championship against USC was awesome. Like that made me so happy because I just didn't like USC at all.
I have PTSD because of that game.
So I mean, yeah, I still go Riverboat Ron on that one though. Like I said, because when he was in charge of Carolina, they scared me as a Saints fan.
So Bartlett, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Who is the greatest UNC basketball player to ever lace up a pair of shoes? If you had to pick one player.
I mean, obviously you would have to go with Michael, but I mean, most people don't know that James Worthy is probably he had a more. I mean, because I mean, obviously, Michael only played 2 years. Worthy played 4. But if you're gonna go and you're gonna say the best player in modern time, Tyler Hansborough.
I was waiting for you to say that name.
I mean, everybody, your most common sense people are gonna say, oh, Michael Jordan. But like, and obviously Michael's the best player to ever play basketball.
Absolutely.
And there's no if, buts, or ands. The LeBron fans, you can move to the side. Not saying that LeBron's not not one of the best to ever do it, but you got people that overlook the person that mimicked Michael, Kobe. Like I would, but Tyler Hansbrough, it was probably the best college basketball player in his 4 years at Carolina, from his freshman to his senior year. He was hands. I mean, you got to think he was able to. His teams were as a freshman able to take down JJ Redick and JJ's senior year at Duke. He's undefeated at Cameron Indoor. He has made it to 2 Final Fours, won a national championship, player of the year, all-time NCAA leading scorer, all-time NCAA free throw percentage leader, all-time, every Carolina record that there was outside of like assist and like he owns it,
He didn't
so
need
it, right. So like the argument in that aspect is obviously it has to be Tyler Hansborough.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll go echo that, and the only reason why I'm echoing that is because Duke fans like Jordan, Duke fans hate Tyler. Plain and simple. Like that's where it comes down to. I mean, honestly, if you get your arch rival to hate you, that means you did something right. So yeah, I mean, I can echo that right there.
Yep. And our very last question on this game we're going to play, and it's a rapid fire, so you have less than 20 seconds to come up with this. Greatest all-time starting 5 for UNC. No particular position, just all-time. If you give me 5 players to play, what 5 players are you picking from UNC?
Phil Ford, Michael Jordan, Tyler Hansborough, James Worthy, and I mean the last one you can go with. There's a few people that will probably disagree, but Rasheed Wallace, because he was a true big, and Hansborough was a forward, Worthy was a forward, and then you got your 2 guards at Michael and Phil. So I mean that's what that front court and back court was. All American, national champions, Hall of Famers, lottery picks in the NBA. So I mean obviously now Duke can sit here and say, oh, we have this amount of people in the NBA, but their careers don't last. Nobody cares about Duke players once they go to the NBA.
There was more guys in the 1996 NBA draft from Carolina than Duke in the whole 90s, probably.
Yes. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
Gary Stackhouse, Antoine Jameson, Vince Carter, Rasheed Wallace, all them cats, bro. They was on one damn team.
Yeah, Duke has put some really good players. Obviously, your Kyries, your Tatums, But like, you know, everybody was all about Jaleel Okafor. Where's he at? Everybody was all about I don't even remember his name. He was number 30 for Duke, where he ended up hurting his knee. You know, they've had some freak injuries and stuff, you
What
know.
about Zion Williamson?
Justice Winslow, the Tyus Jones and Trey Jones and all of them, where are they at? I mean, you know, they're obviously way better at basketball than I will ever be and ever have been. And you know, NBA Division One basketball players, they're good. You know, they're really good. I don't think people really realize that.
I do
But
want to tell you though, Cooper Flag is better than all of them. Just gonna be
he,
honest.
you don't want to get me started on Cooper Flag right now. We'll sit here for another 2 hours because like don't get me wrong. I think he's a generational talent, and I'm a realist with sports. Like he's a generational talent, but the Tar Heel in me when Houston, and I repeat, Houston beat them in the Final Four. My downstairs neighbor, since I live in a condo on the top floor, my downstairs neighbor, my wife, probably agreed to kill me that night because that was the happiest I had ever been in my life to watch Cooper Flag and the sorry ass Blue Devils walk off the court. It's
See, look,
losing.
Boudreaux, this is true hate for another team. Look,
I'm there. I'm there. I'm here for it. I'm here all for this.
Hanging with the Chads are unbiased. We just hate the teams we don't like here, okay? So he's openly admitting the hate, though. Like,
don't get me wrong. Like, I think Cooper's going to have a great career in the NBA, and I hope he does. Like, I hope Jason Tatum, with his unfortunate injury, like, I hope, you know, I hope he heals and is able to come back and he's better than ever. You know, like it's unfortunate stuff like that. You know, Zion. You know, I truly, once he left Duke, was one of the bigger Zion fans. And, you know, I mean, unfortunately, has his career been what everybody thought it was going to be?
no.
No, but I mean, you know, like
It's in New Orleans, though. That's why.
Yeah, but you know, I still, you know, want him to do great. I still want these guys to do great because I mean, it's part of. I never played in it, but I've watched all the documentaries about it and all this stuff. You know, like as a kid growing up, like they it's a level of respect in the Duke Carolina rivalry. And, you know, those guys, yeah, they want to win and yeah, it's bragging rights, but they do respect and they do want to see them do good, you know. And unless you're NC State, you can, you know, NC State sucks too.
We don't like NC State now because they took the coach that we wanted in our Cinderella bracket. They took him, Mr. Wade himself.
Yeah.
We don't like NC State. But shout out NC State, but we don't like them.
Right.
Boudreaux, your all-time starting five UNC. I know you hate UNC, but
I'm out of this conversation. Like, I don't know enough about the history of UNC basketball to reach in there. So, yeah, give me Jordan, Tyler, and then we'll go there.
So I'm gonna go Michael Jordan, Vince Carter. I'm gonna go Tyler Hansborough in the middle, and then I'm gonna go Rasheed Wallace, James Worley. And if I had to choose a six-man, I would probably choose either Antoine Jameson or Ed Cota. So, but
Antoine would probably be my sixth man because I mean he was just a freak of nature too.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Steven Bartlett, our very special guest today on Hanging with the Chads. And Steven, any final words for the world to know about you?
I mean, I just appreciate you guys having me. You know, if you are interested in coaching, the only thing I want to say is that it is worth it. And, you know, you definitely should try it out. If you're interested if you want to be a teacher, it is worth it. You know, obviously the pay maybe isn't always there, but, you know, at the end of the day, you are shaping our future leaders, and it is worth it in the long run of things.
Absolutely is. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm Chad Springer. As always, I got the greatest tag team partner ever, Chad Boudreaux here. Hey, Mr. Boudreaux, Give us the words of wisdom to carry out the week.
Get better.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it first from Boudreaux. Get better. As you hear it every week, get 1% better every day. You're going to be better tomorrow than you was today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Chad Springer, joined by Chad Boudreaux and our special guest, Steven Bartlett. Thank you for hanging with the Chads on this Armed Forces weekend. Have a wonderful day.